we go. We're back at 640. 72 to 28% last night. Hastings residents voted in overwhelming support for renovations to the city's elementary schools. Superintendent of Hastings Public Schools, Craig Kautz, joins us this morning. I got to think a big relief this morning for you and the entire district.
It's absolutely nice to have a clear direction for our future, and we're anxious to get started on it.
Were you surprised by the margin? We had talked last week when you were here talking about the information on the bond issue that it appeared, we were seeing lots of signs out there, and it appeared any criticism was certainly quiet, but again, you just never know, do you?
We never know. We had no idea. In November, about 75% indicated they would support. We didn't know whether we would hold that position or not. We came close.
You had done a lot of research building up. We've talked about the years of planning that went into it. There were a lot of things that you could sort of pitch voters on in this, the financing, the sort of work of the multiple sites sort of thing. Do you think it was every piece of that that made it, or do you have one piece that you think made it more successful than others?
Well, I think the community is supportive of students. I think this is a big win for students. I think Hastings looks out for its schools and takes great pride in its schools. So I'd say that's the number one factor. Now, there are other things. The proposal hit the values that the community has, and I think respected their ideas for the future, and because of that, I think most people thought we should move forward.
Yeah, and as some people were talking, there's sort of two things. There's the financing of it, $21.5 million. The school board had done some work prior to make that happen so a tax levy would not have to be increased. Also, it was initially do you go with a single site, new school, or renovate those neighborhood schools? And there was a lot of research that went into the final decision in that, right?
Absolutely. Not only was there polling, at one point we built on paper 8 different school districts, and eventually using the values of the community narrowed that down to the proposal that was put before the voters.
And you used a citizens group to sort of get some of those initial things. Could this be, for the wonks out there, could this be a textbook way to go about trying to get a bond issue to voters, you think?
We think so. We were effective with it with our middle school, and we've been effective again. But you can't underestimate the support of community members. Our Community Facility Advisory Committee members, you just absolutely have to thank for their high commitment, in particular David Brandt and Patty Kingsley, who co-chaired 2 committees over 4 years to get to this point. You also have to give a shout out to the Campaign 4, who kept the issue alive during the political campaign. That was a very busy one, and so Marcy Kimnitz and her crew deserve a lot of credit. And of course, the Board of Education is the final group that vets the proposal and has to put it forward. You've got to give credit to the board.
Yeah, a lot of people putting in a lot of work. Let's talk about the time frame now, because one of the pitches to voters was this work can start very soon. How soon now?
Well, very soon. In fact, I'm leaving today, and my first meeting will be with our bond agent in order to get the bonds sold. We will activate our engineer and architect. They will be drawing more seriously, since now they'll be paid for those drawings. And we really do think that we will have shovel in the ground at Watson, Hawthorne, and Lincoln, or at least at Watson, by this fall.
And those are the first steps of what will now be almost a 5 to 6 year process, right?
We predict 6 years. It'll be 2 years per phase. The first phase is the additions to the new buildings. Then we believe it'll be Alcott, and then finally Longfellow, and then hopefully at that time we'll have a preschool center being worked on as well.
Yeah, and that's going to become Morton, and as we talked about that preschool, those numbers growing and growing, and possibly the anticipation of some state mandates for growing even more, right?
Absolutely. Nebraska took a step this year with LB 967, where they say the intent of the state is to educate 4-year-olds. We believe we're going to be able to be proactive about it and be ready for those 4-year-olds.
Hastings Public certainly feeling like you are getting in a position now to be ready with schooling for the next several decades, I would guess, right?
Absolutely. The community has got to be ready for the senior high in 2035.
Okay.
I will not be superintendent at that time.
But that will be the next project, but for now, it'll be the elementary schools, and a very happy Craig Kautz and a very happy school board this morning. Very good. Congratulations on a big margin and a well-done bond issue, Craig.
Thank you for all you've done.
Glad to be able to be part of that. Stay with us. We're back with more News 5 Today right after this.